Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's as you can see, it's July. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. It's the 1st. It's the 1st of July. It's Tuesday the 1st. Yes, it is. And at 1 o'clock this morning, I made these little graphics just so our header file. Good morning. Is my handshake. There's my head. Yeah, I'm a little bit out of view. Sorry, but nonetheless, big news day today. Well, I like to be on the right. There we go. The Senate has been working 24 hours, maybe more than 24 hours, trying to get their bill passed. And for some reason, the Senate Democrats are, they line up like ducks waiting to be thrown a piece of bread. They stick together. They're like super glued together. The Republicans they're free spirits. They don't stick together unless you slap them in the face. They're here, I want this and I want that. And oh my God. It goes on and on. Hold on a second. I'm back. Sorry. I had to take a phone call from my boss, Marilyn. Sweet thing. I have a lunch with a good friend today, and she offered to I'm Ubering to lunch. She has the car. And she was volunteering to take me back from lunch. I said, get some deposits, come on. Always a banker. Anyway, the president. This is so the Senate. They're arguing about the big bill, and supposedly they'll get it today. The vice president is on standby in Washington to show up to cast the winning vote in case it's 50-50. The Senate can lose 3 votes. 3 senators. If they lose 4 senators, they're out. The bill can't pass. Then they got to start over. And I guess that means they got to go back to the House and get that, and it goes back up to the Senate. The other big news, since we really don't have news on that yet until something happens one way or the other. Hopefully they get it passed, and the senator from Maine or the senator from Alaska, they get off their high horse and just hold their nose and vote for it and stop. Everybody can't get everything they want. You know, the best bill there is, the best deal there is. I don't care if you're making deals or what you're doing, is everybody doesn't have a real big grin on their face. If someone is really sad on one side of the table and the other side has a really big grin across the table, that means that, they're, it's not a good deal. It's a one-sided deal. But if everybody has, not such a big smile on their face, that's probably the best deal of all. I mean, and I've made, billions of dollars worth of deals. Really, billions. And hundreds of millions, billions. Lots of zeros, lots of deals. I started off doing $500,000 deals a long time ago. Then it went to $1 million deals. Then it went to $2 million deals. And then it went to $5 million deals. And then it went to a $150 million deal. I actually was required to sign off on a deal called Joe Robbie Stadium in 1982. In May, I signed $150 million. One of the biggest deals Southeast Bank has ever done is participated with 4 or 5 other major banks, like Bank of New York and Bank of Chicago, Bank Boston, and a few others. They all took $10 million pieces. A couple took $20 million piece. We took a $20 million piece. We were the lead lender. And Jimmy I was the final signature. Yeah. They waited for me to fly into town. Because my predecessor got killed in a car accident. I'm sorry to say. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's terrible. And after 9 interviews, 5 in Miami and 4 in Tampa, they finally said, okay, we'll hire Jimmy to run the Tampa market. 17 counties of surrounding Hillsborough County in Tampa. I love Tampa. It was a great, great deal. And, we had we bought the model house in Carrollwood Village, which is north, about 11 miles north of the Tampa airport. About 13 miles as the crow flies to my office. Go straight down Del Mareby Highway and then hop over on Route 60 and get up into the GTE Center. Yeah, that was quite a deal. And, it was, 1982. So I'm like, 38. Yeah. Yeah. 37 years old. I was right at the prime. Oh my God. I was young looking. I looked like I was 20. Marilyn, same way. Everyone that saw her missed her age by 14 years. Oh, how old are you, madame? She would never say. And they'd guess her age, and she'd have a big smile on her face. No one cared about Jimmy's age. But I did look, a little wet between the ears. I did well, though, I caught them all by surprise. I did more deals. Yeah, I did a lot of deals. A lot of $10, $20 million deals. Yeah, Miami would say, well, what the hell is this kid over there in Tampa? Where are these deals coming from? And then I did a $40 million deal with Edward J. DeBartolo. Ooh, he became a friend of mine, can you imagine? In Tampa, Florida. Met him at Club Malio's. Yes, I did. And I asked Malio Alvarone. The club was named Malio. Got to know Malio. I said, Malio, I understand you're a good buddy of Mr. D. Is there any chance when he's in town you might introduce me to Mr. D? He said, well, absolutely. Oh, yeah, he comes over here. He walks in. He goes to the right of the front door. He stands there. We bring him his cocktail, his whiskey. And he'll stand there and he observes the crowd. And, he just likes to be, not bothered by anybody. And no one knows who the hell he is. It's not like he's a Hollywood star or anything. He's just worth, a couple $1 billion. He owns 77 million square feet of income property. He sent me his financial statement. It looked like letter S of the World Book Encyclopedia. It was bound in leather. I got financial statement number 70-something. It had a gold lettering number. It had just a number on it. Yeah. Oh, God. Phew. I should have asked for an autographed copy for my personal fun of it, kind of thing. Promise to keep it a secret. Yeah. So I didn't. Would you mind sending me a personal copy so I can keep it in my locked file for posterity? Please. A bound financial statement by Edward DeBartolo. Yeah, oh God. I'll tell you a story later about me being invited to his birthday party. And he invited me to his birthday party. We were at the ICSC Shopping Center convention. And I get a little note slipped under the door in my hotel room. You've been cordially invited to Mr. DeBartolo's birthday party. Could you please attend? RSVP somehow. It was in one of the finest hotels in New Orleans. It was one of the years that it was in New Orleans, I believe, yeah. Marilyn wasn't there. She broke her ankle riding a horse the Friday before we were supposed to take off. I said, Marilyn, I got to go to the shopping center convention, And I'm sorry, you're not probably... Oh, yeah, I'll be fine. I said, Dr. Goldstein says you're not going to be fine because in day 4 you're going to be throbbing and you're not going to be able to... You don't want to be anywhere. Your foot is going to have to be elevated. It was a serious break. You had 2 hours of orthopedic surgery, which is an hour longer than it should have been. You got 9 screws in your ankle and 2 steel plates. You ain't going anywhere. Just relax, get your dad to come up. He'll take care of you. You make pot roast. You'll be happy. I'll call you on the phone twice a day. Anyway, so I'm trying to find Mr. D's birthday party. I'm going, I got this invitation. I'm holding it in my hand. I got it gripped in my claw, And I'm looking for this, I'm going, I'm on the 3rd floor of this big resort hotel. And, I'm going into all the big ballrooms. Mr. DeBartolo is a very well-known, income property owner. He's one of the largest shopping center developers in the country. And they're all empty, at noon on whenever the hell it was. I think it was a Thursday. So I finally go to the concierge desk, and I said, I'm looking for this birthday party. And I've been on the 3rd floor looking all over the place, and they're all empty. What the heck? Where is this birthday party? She said, "Sir, it's right over there. That tall gentleman that's standing there in the tuxedo. I think he's looking for you." Looking for me? Really? Little Jimmy? 5'8" tall? Who's Jimmy? And I start walking over towards this big guy. He's like a bouncer. He's a big Italian-looking guy. Sorry. I mean, that's a compliment. Yeah, I don't mean that negatively. So I'm walking closer and closer, and he looks over to me with a scowl on his eyes. He said, "Is this James Wilson?" Now, how does this sucker know who I am? And I said, "Yes, this is James Wilson." He said, "Just hold up 1 minute, sir." He opens up the door. He sticks his head in a crack. He said, "Mr. D, Mr. Wilson has just arrived." So Mr. D comes to the door and says, "Jimmy, are you here?" I said, "I am here." I said, "How come this guy knows who I am?" He said, "Because I told him who we're expecting you." "You're expecting me? Do I have to give a speech I don't know about?" He says, "No, I have a seat. You're sitting right next to me, and the other 12 gentlemen are already here, and you're the 13th. 13? Big round table. Mr. D walks me over to the head seat of this table. He said, "Mr. Wilson, you please sit down here." This is James Wilson, by the way. He's one of my new best friends. Yeah. He gave me a $42 million deal in 1 week. How long do you people take? And he delivered exactly how he promised at our first meeting. I met him on Monday. He had the deal by Thursday. I had to turn around my jet to get back to Tampa. He said, "This kid walks on water as far as I'm concerned. Any deal I have, he sees first." Yes, sir, Bob. Yeah, my God, I sat down. I'm kind of holding my head. Holy crap. Can you imagine? I'm at his 77th birthday party, and I'm a honored guest. I'm in with 12 other major global banking institutions, and he has me sitting right next to him, and they're waiting for me before they bring the cake. Oh, and my wife is home, and oh God, I wanted to be anywhere else, but I was quite proud to be there, quite honestly, because a man who owns 77 million square feet, Southeast Bank has been trying to get a phone call returned from the DeBartolo office, forget DeBartolo, for like 20 years. And the people in the DeBartolo organization says, we don't need you, Southeast Bank. No, thank you. He's too busy. We'll get back to you. For 20 years, we'll get back to you. Poor D.R. Meade and his people. We'll get back to you. I'm standing next to Mr. D at Malio's having a cocktail. How are you, Mr. D? It's so nice to meet you. I love this club, by the way, and Malio is such a marvelous person as one of the principals of this club. And I understand you have connections together. You know each other from Youngstown, Ohio. He said, "Oh, yes. It's so nice to meet you, Mr. Wilson." I said, "Well, I had to, I'm in the business of making loans. What the heck? And you borrow money and I lend money, so why not? Wouldn't you like to meet Jimmy and give me a shot at one of your next deals? You got anything going on in Florida that you need some help with?" He said, "Well, by the way, I do. I have a shopping center somewhere in North Florida. I forget the city, Lake City or something like that." He says it's a nice shopping center. It's a small one, and I need a renovation loan. I'm going to renovate it and make it, modernize it and everything. Put in a new anchor tenant. It's got 2, and we're going to add a 3rd. And I need about $42 million. Can you do that? And I said, "Well, what? Can we just have a seat right down here on the thing, and let me find a yellow pad, and let's tell me about what's going on." So he tells me, and I said, "That's a deal we can do. You're going to guarantee the loan 100%? None of this fancy stuff, the top money guarantee. Got to have 100% guarantee of the financial. Absolutely. No problem. Signed financial statement, current financial statement, and 2 years tax returns, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You know what we need, right? You've been borrowing money for a long time. I just need a big box of stuff. It's got to be all current, plans, specs, the works. This is, before they had PDF files or the capability of sending and receiving PDF files securely. So it was a big box. He said, yeah, I'll have all the. I said, well, how about this? We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. I had like 9 deal terms. And I said, I turned the yellow pad around facing him. And I said, Mr. D, take a look at this. And I went through, I reached across. I said, here's the 9 deal terms. We'll do this. It'll be a half over prime, a half point fee, 100% guarantee of completion and financial guarantee. And you're going to give me, financial statement, tax returns, current financials, signed current financials. Don't forget to sign it. And, plans, specs, your own appraisal information, your own detailed breakdown of how you're going to spend the money, how you'd like the draws, any kind of a draw schedule, or you just you send your draw request every month. We'll fund it within 24 hours. And we'll have this ready for you by Thursday evening. This is Monday. So I'm gonna fast track this. I'll probably have to, my office is in Tampa. I'll probably have to fly to Miami to meet with Jess Longhorn to get this deal done. And he'll meet with my guy Benetic. And between the 3 of us, at least 3 of us, will be one of Jimmy. And we'll get this deal done. This is a deal we can do. I've been doing business, for 10 or 15 years. I know how to do this. And you are a client extraordinaire. And as long as you're willing to, do it like everybody else, no special treatment. I mean, you'll get special treatment because we'll get this deal done immediately. So keep an eye out for Jimmy like on Thursday, and I'll be calling you. So your private number. I don't think they had cell phones yet in 1982. I think cell phones came out to the public in 1985, something like that. Anyway, so we got the deal done, and we were typing like crazy. We had typewriters back then, and we had word processing. So my secretary, Joyce and Joanna were sisters. So Joanna, she's typing away. We got this $42 million commitment. I go down to Bernie Bischoff's office, and I just stand up there in front of his front door, and I'm waving this piece of paper. And Bernie Bischoff looks at me and he says, well, what's that? I said, that's a $42 million commitment to Edward J. DeBarlo. How do you like that? He says, I heard about it. I got called by the senior credit people. He says, Wilson, you're crazy good. I said, I love it. I'm sure, those guys in Miami are burning up inside. This little youngster down here in Miami is burning them up because this is, we've probably done $200 million of deals in about 9 months. And these guys down in Miami are saying, what the hell? And they're all good deals with people, that you beg to have. It's just that Tampa was just a very exciting place. And I was at the right time at the right place. And fortunately, I knew what I was doing. Thank you, Dick Yates. and what do you call it? The gentleman that I worked with at Royal Trust Bank, Robert H. Curtis. Yeah, Bob Curtis was a marvelous individual, and he knew what he was doing, and he spoke the same language as Dick Yates. But Bob Curtis gave me the opportunity to actually do things that Dick Yates taught me in his backyard swimming pool. We're talking deals all night long, and I'm like a dry sponge. I paid attention, yes, sir, Bob, and I got the chance to, do some exciting deals in the Royal Trust Bank, and Bob Curtis was very pleased with me. And anyway, so I got this job at Southeast Bank, and I said, Bob, is it okay if I, go after this job, and that you didn't want to take, for some reason, and I know why, and I appreciate it and everything. But since Royal Trust is being absorbed, there's going to be changes, and I don't want to be the wrong end of changes. So, and this opportunity is there, so I should probably take a shot at it, don't you think? He said, absolutely. Go for it. Anything I can do. And I said, well, you're going to be persona non grata because you said you'd take the job and you didn't take it. I said, I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. Well, 5 interviews later in Miami and 4 interviews in Tampa. 9 interviews, can you imagine? Yeah, I mean, they were fine. We just had conversations, got to know the people. They're all fine people, super fine people. They're all gray pinstripe suits, When they come in for lunch, 4 or 5, and they look like penguins. They're all dressed with the same suits and ties, same color ties, the wingtip shoes and everything. I'm not a wingtip shoe guy. I did buy some eventually, just because they look nice, and Marilyn liked them. She picked them out, and I figured, all right, well, if she likes them, I guess I'll go for it. So I got a pair of black ones and a pair of deep brown ones. They were beautiful shoes. And they weren't floor shine. These were, at the time, I mean, we're talking about 1982, 3, 4. They were shoes that were, like $300 a pair. So I spent $600 for 2 pair of shoes. Whew. That's a lot of money for Jimmy. When I'm used to paying $50 for a pair of shoes. Yeah, they were nice, but yeah, boy. Anyway, it was fun meeting Mr. DeBarlow and actually getting a deal done with Mr. DeBarlow at Southeast Bank. I called Mr. D on Thursday afternoon, by the way, circling back to that. And I said, so his private secretary forwarded my call, the jointly call, I forget how that worked, in their office. But they connected me to his jet. He was flying on his way somewhere, like to Phoenix or something from Youngstown. And I said, Mr. D, this is Jim Wilson down here in Tampa. Oh, yeah, that nice young fellow down there? I said, yeah, I got the deal done. You're supposed to be down here to sign the commitment letter. I have it right here in front of me. In 4 days, I told you I'd get it done. He said, I'll be damned. Charles, turn the plane around. We're going to Tampa. So he flew into Tampa. We met Friday for lunch. He said, how about lunch Friday at Malio's? I said, absolutely. We'll get our favorite private booth right inside the front door. My purple limousine will show up. And, I said, I'll be there. I'll be there at 11:30. See you at 12. I have 2 commitment letters in hand, exactly as we agreed. Well, I'll show it to you, and I'll sign it. He says, is it ready to go? And I said, I'll sign it, and you'll sign it, and that's all we need, but I'm not signing it until you're here. I read it. It looks good. We corrected all the typos. It's ready for signature. Yeah, it's, the first 3 pages is the commitment, and then you got 19 pages of this is what we're going to do to you if you don't pay. Typical commitment, all written by the lawyers and everything. So, but the first 3 pages is what we're going to zero in on. And you can, at your leisure, you can read the 19 pages also. Okay. So he showed up. At Malio's, 12 o'clock sharp. His limousine pulled up. We sat down. We both ordered a cocktail. I was big on vodka and tonic with a squeeze of lime, I believe. I graduated to vodka and soda after a few years, but I was a vodka and tonic drinker. Not gin, vodka. My father-in-law told me, my gin alcoholics, they die young. Don't drink gin. If you have to have a cocktail, drink vodka. So I always drank vodka. And we're drinking. I still have vodka and tonic at 5:30 p.m. with Marilyn when she gets back from Seacoast Bank. Tito's. I have it in a tall cup. It looks just like this, except it's black. And this is like a 20-ounce, insulated, what do you call it? Stainless steel, double-walled. I got hot coffee in there, but the outside surface is nice and cool. Room temperature. Room temperature is 69.3, by the way. You can see it down. I don't know if you can see. No, it's out of view. Let's see if we give us full screen so we maybe see. Oh, the microphone's right in the way. There we go. You see right here? 69.3. It's 89.4 outside and 69.3 inside. Relative humidity is 60%. Yeah. I have a sensor right here. A sensor. How cute is that? Huh? Yeah. We have a sensor. Would you put me on the right side, please? Swap cameras. Yeah. There we go. This is a Simulcast. And all 3 networks are taking it today. I had an internet problem with CyberGhost or something. I had to go into, settings into my MacBook Pro. I'm learning. You're always learning with these computers because the software is very complicated. It has all kinds of things that you can, you can adjust this and adjust that, and they got adjustments to the adjustments. So for the guy that just wants to connect to the internet, and it took me a half hour to actually connect to the internet, and I finally, I couldn't seem to connect even to CyberGhost, and there was a setting, deep inside of the menus of the MacBook Pro software, and let's see if I can. Let's see about this Mac. It's a MacBook Apple M2 chip, Macintosh startup disk. It's got 24 gigabytes of memory, and it's running. Here we go. Sequoia 15.5. The Sequoia software, the operating system, and it is marvelous, but complicated. So anyway, my CyberGhost for my virtual private network had a setting embedded. It automatically embedded something into the software. So I deleted that. I said, would you like to delete the configuration file for CyberGhost? And I said, yes, let's, it wasn't the default. It was, the default said leave it alone. I said, well, I can't leave it alone because I can't connect to the internet. So I'm going to delete it because it's not, doesn't seem to be connecting anyway. So it was like half started and then didn't start for some reason. And so I deleted it. And all of a sudden, boom, I get the internet is on, and I put on my software that tests internet speed, and I had plenty of up and download speed. And upload speed is important because we are transmitting to 3 networks simultaneously. Now, you can listen to this any time of day. You don't have to be listening to it when it's the live broadcast, because after the live broadcast, a full recorded high-definition video file is permanently embedded within Twitter, X, within YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. I paid a special fee. YouTube Live costs me $18 a month. Person pays, like $8 a month. I pay an extra $10 a month, so I can transmit my live broadcast to these 3 networks: Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live, X Live, I should say. I'll never get used to the X business. Somehow, someone knocked Elon over the head with an X. An X7 iron or something. And he named his kid X, he named this X, he wears X, he's SpaceX. He's got more X's than he's got pickles. Well, it's going to be Twitter until, at 80, it's going to be Twitter until I'm 90. I'll change to X after I hit my 90th birthday, if I'm still yakking here on the internet. Yeah. I have to keep my eye on the clock. I have a lunch at Houston's with a good friend at 11:40 a.m., so at about 11, I have to catch my ride. I'll do an Uber ride. It's always interesting to get it. We've got pretty good quality drivers down here in South Florida. And the last time I took an Uber to Houston's to meet Bill for lunch, they took me in his car. Was a Model Y, the same car we drive. Can you imagine? The Uber driver was driving a Tesla Model Y. And then when I got picked up to drive me home from Uber, 6 weeks ago, it was another Model Y Tesla car with a different driver, of course, different car, different ride hail. And Uber. So I rode Uber coming and going. It cost about $15 each way. Marilyn called me on the phone a little while ago and said, "Hey, if you want me to take you home, I can pick you up," because her bank is like 1 minute away from Houston's, where she works at Seacoast Bank, very close to Houston's. And I said, I'll text you. I'll let you know. I said, I'll probably just take an Uber ride. You work on there and get some deposits. Full day's work and a full day's pay, okay? If something exciting happens with Mr. B, I'll let you know. Anyway, so just talking actions with the government. The Senate is grinding through a very slow process to get his big, beautiful bill signed through the Senate. Then it goes back to the House because the Senate bill isn't exactly the same as the House bill, so they pretty much have to mirror the Senate bill, and then they put it through for a vote, and hopefully they get a majority. They get 220 votes in the House. If they get that approved, they write it all up and get the actual bill ready for presidential signature, which would be the following week or so. Yep. And then that would be for the 2026 financial package for the, it affect us for our 2026 tax returns. I don't think it would be effective for the 2025 tax season. I'm not sure about that. Could be. No tax on tips, no taxes on overtime, and no taxes on Social Security. Now, they actually can't modify the, with this procedure they're using in the Senate. They can't actually change the tax code like that for Social Security. So what they'll do is they're just going to give the seniors essentially a check for $4,000 or $5,000, somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000, because that's what your tax would amount to as you pay taxes on your Social Security benefits. So you get, let's just say $4,500 of a tax credit, if you will. Kind of like the tax credit you would have gotten if you bought a new Tesla, which that's going away, which is making Elon all crazy mad. But, he's known, that all those incentives, that compel people to buy electric cars, which was not the reason for us getting a Tesla car, although it did bring down the payment $209 a month, actually. If you take $7,500 and divide it by 36 months, for a 36-month lease, so we get 1/36 of $7,500. That's in the lease. I actually went to the lease and saw it in the financial. They reduced the capital cost on the lease by $7,500. So then you divide the lease out, depreciation, so the depreciation is half of your lease payment, and the cost of the money is the other half of the lease payment. That's how they come up with a lease payment, if you're wondering how they do it. It's not a matter of amortization. It has to do with depreciation. So they calculate what the car should be worth when you turn it in. They make that calculation now, and they subtract that from the value of the car when the lease started. They subtract one from the other, and that's your depreciation. Divide that number by 36. That's that portion of the lease payment. And then they evaluate how much money is, the leasing company has to pay to buy the car from Tesla, essentially. And that's what happens. Leasing company buys the car, and then you reimburse the leasing company for the cost of the money. You divide that by 36, that goes in the lease. That's the other portion of your lease payment. Add them together, that's your lease payment. Yep. It should be somewhere between $500 or $600 a month today, with the tax credit, on a $50,000 car. And our car cost $50,500 with about a $2,600 discount from Tesla. So it would have been a $52,500 car, to $52,550. But we got a $2,600 discount, a special discount, because we were buying the car right at the end of a quarter, and Tesla gave a benefit out to us. They called me on the phone, actually, and sent me a text message and said, "Hey, you want to turn your Tesla car in 2 months early? I got a deal for you." And they had a special deal. We'll waive the acquisition fee, which is $690, and you won't have to pay that. We'll absorb that, and we'll give you an extra $500 worth of wear and tear. And I said, okay, I got a little dent on the side door here. He said, well, that'd be covered by the wear and tear. If it's more than $500, you'll pay the difference. Turned out to be like $552. So I had to pay $52 for this big ass dent I had in my driver's side door, which made me crazy. But it was, someone drove into me, for God's sakes. Anyway, so I had a dent in the front door. There was some old object sticking out on the side of this car, and it jammed into my it made a depression of about an inch, about the size of your thumb. It's like someone hit it with a hammer, hard, real hard. It didn't break the paint, but it, the aluminum door like depressed in about an inch. It was a serious, little push. Anyway, so they fixed it up somehow, replaced the door panel. I don't know what they did. Hammered it out. These car guys can really do amazing things. Anyway, I don't know what Tesla does with all these cars that come in off leases. Now we turned our car in. We were 10,000 miles under, because it's a 30,000 mile lease, 10,000 miles a year. But we only drove it 6,000 miles a year. So we turned it in with 19,950 miles, just under 20,000 miles on a 30,000 mile lease. So that was just a gift to them. The under mile, that 10,000 miles we never used. So Tesla got a little bonus on that. And I guess they take them to auction, or I think Tesla's doing something with these cars. It's a beautiful car, I'm going to tell you. We got another car just like it. Got another Model Y last March. A year ago March, I should say. This is July. So March, April, May, June. So it's 3 months plus 12. So we've been driving the new one for 15 months. We drove the other one for 33 months. So we've been driving Teslas for 50 months, round numbers. It is a marvelous vehicle. My previous favorite car was an RX 450h Lexus hybrid, SUV vehicle made by Lexus. It was magnificent. And it had a battery and an electric motor that would take you like 0 to 45, and then the electric engine would phase in this hybrid vehicle. Now this is a 15-year-old car. 15 year ago, not 15. It was a brand new car that we had under lease, but it was 15 years ago. A magnificent vehicle. And then drove a few Mercedes-Benz and a couple of BMWs and a lot of Hondas in between. Honda was magnificent also. Not as big a car. When you get older, you don't fold as well. To get in these spaghetti cars is really difficult. A Porsche's okay. I drove a Porsche all around for about a half hour with the boys in Maryland. And we had the top down in a Porsche. It's magnificent, You speed down I-95 going 80 miles an hour in third gear. You had 2 more gears to go. You talk about a rocket ship. Whew. I had to work on first gear, though. I was a little touchy with the clutch. Second and third gear was fine. But getting from 0 to 20 miles an hour was a little bit of a struggle for me. I just couldn't get a good clutch would pop in a little hard. My foot wasn't used to, a stick shift car. But yeah, you get used to it, you drive it. My son was giving me crap about, you need to learn how to drive the car, Dad. Hey, give me a break. I should have bought the car. At the time, I could have just, paid cash for it. $90,000 car. A long time ago. 1996 or 7, somewhere around in there. I was making plenty of money. I left it in the stock market, and then the stock market went down. I could have had, the Tesla for free. I mean, not that Tesla, I mean the Porsche. Because instead of owning the Porsche, I lost, $100,000 in the stock market. I should have sold the stock and bought the stupid car. That was the plan. I didn't do it. Should have done it, actually. Oh, gosh. You only get one shot at today. Amazing thing about today. You only get one chance of today. We haven't figured out how to redo today. If you could only know what you could only know. But we haven't, I haven't seen an actual time machine yet. Maybe some of these wise guys have seen a time machine. I haven't been able to go back in time and redo today. Yeah. If you do today over again and make a change, then tomorrow is different. And somehow or other that can alter things. So, the virtual time situation doesn't allow you to do things over again differently. It might change a lot of other things. Anyway, if I had a chance to do some things over again, I would redo the Porsche deal. We were talking about small here. I had an opportunity to work at Marine Midland Bank in Buffalo, New York, with Tom Barone, and he wanted me big time. And I said, I would have wanted full vesting in retirement, and every other damn thing I could think of. He said we would have done it. I said, God damn it! I gave that deal away to someone else I knew that needed a job. I had a job. So I figured, I'll take this one. And I did that twice. I should have taken that one because the guy ultimately got fired. Because he's trying to make a play for one of the directors who was a friend of the guy that hired him. So Tom Barone calls me on the phone. He said, hey, Jim, I had to call you first because you offered the position we were going to offer you. You offered it to Dick, and I had to fire Dick this morning. But I had to call you first because you gave me Dick. And he was a fine gentleman, like you said. Extremely knowledgeable. But he tried to do, he told me what he did. And I said, I understand, Tom. I really, it's quite unusual for the president of one of Marine Midland's largest affiliates, to call old Jimmy over here to let me know that you had to dispose of Dick on the phone. I was at the Boca Bank, and I get this call from Tom Barone. He says, I gotta fire Dick this morning, but I had to tell you first. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I wish it would have worked out for you and him. He said, no, it's not working out. He did this, he did that, and, we can't have that. I said, I understand. I completely understand. Actually, I agree with you. If I were in your position, I would do it, the same thing, the same way. And I completely appreciate you calling me. It's such an honorable task that people don't seem to do anymore. Have a great day, and I'm sorry you have to, do the dirty deed, this morning. But I'm with you 100%. Thank you for calling. And then he, hung up with me, and he called Dick on the phone and said, "You're out of here. You did X, Y, Z. We can't have that. Pack up your things. You're out immediately. We'll give you, 6 weeks pay or whatever they gave him. I don't know what it was." And he was unemployed again. Yeah. He tried to move in on Dan Sharon, I think was the director's name. And he happened to be a friend of Tom's. And Tom's, been working there like 28 years, so he knows the board. He's doing all these big deals all over the United States. Of course he knows these directors. Just as I knew the directors I worked with. When you get these big loans, the whole board gets involved. Like that DeBartle loan, oh yeah. Anything over $60 million, the whole board of Southeast Bank, like 15 of them have to vote on it. The deals, some of the board members don't like the principles. Of course, with my DeBarlo deal, everybody wanted to do business with DeBarlo. I had no problem getting that deal done. Got it done in 4 days, 4.5 days, including the typing of the commitment letter. Met with DeBarlo on the 5th day, Monday through Friday, $42 million, signed. That was an accomplishment with Southeast Bank. I mean, it was subject to this and that, that 19 pages of stuff it's subject to, but of course it's no different than if it took them 6 weeks to do it. Typical deal takes about 6 weeks. I got it done in 6 days. Yes, sirree, Bob. It doesn't have to be 6 weeks. If you need it faster, you just have to man up and get it done. Get it on people's desks, and go through the committees and go in there and meet with the chief credit people. Jess Lawhorn and Mike Ivanetic are 2 fine gentlemen. They'd be 90-something today. They were at least 10 years older than I was. Probably 15 years older than I was. So we had the stealth bombers flying over Iran. I'm looking at a stealth on a newsreel over here in this, delayed broadcast stuff over here on this device right here. And it was showing a stealth bombers taking off and landing. The Senate is finishing up Votorama. They're putting amendments into and voting on amendments into the big beautiful bill. So the Democrats get on the TV, and they say, "We're having real problems with the big beautiful bill." They got to call it something, and it's a big beautiful bill. Yeah. And that's what it's like Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. There was nothing affordable about it. My son tried to get into the Obamacare. He paid $210 a month, and if he broke his leg, and it was a $15,000 bill at the hospital to fix a broken leg, which is, this is like actual conversation. The deductible was like $8,000. What the hell kind of insurance is that? Who the hell has $8,000 to fix a broken leg? You fix it yourself for $8K. Jeez. So I'll limp a little bit, a crooked leg. Oh. No, you gotta fix a broken leg. But the copay was like $8,000. What the hell kind of insurance is that? $1,000 is like, quite a dent for, regular. Can you imagine 22 or 25-year-old kid trying to apply for Obamacare, and the deductible for a broken leg is $8,000, and they call that the Affordable Care Act. I mean, the names the Democrats used for these bills was the opposite of what was really in the bill. Now, the big, beautiful bill that's going on right now, it is making the tax cuts of the Trump 45 4-year period. Those tax cuts were being made permanent. This bill makes the tax cuts that Trump gave everybody, which is a huge amount of the population, everybody making under $400,000 got a tax break of about $2,000 on average. So if those tax cuts, which expire this year, were allowed to expire and not replaced with something else, everybody's tax bill for people making under $400,000 would go up on average of $2,000 a year, on average. That's serious money. So this tax bill makes the Trump tax cuts of under his term of the Trump 45, which he was in office from the year 2020 to 2024, or 2016 to 2020. He lost the 2020 election. He said he didn't lose it, but he got cheated out of it, he says. Never really proved that, but we saw buckets of fraudulent ballots being dumped into some of these cities, which, changed the result of some of these swing states. So he won by so much this time that they couldn't make it too big to cheat, So Koberger changed his plea to guilty. Koberger, the guy who murdered 4 Iowa students, college students. He snuck into their place. They were like 6 of them living together in a big house, different bedrooms. And all 4 of them were in one bed, all sleeping. Beautiful young ladies and a gentleman. And he snuck in there with a knife. He laid with them and just slipped a knife in there and right into their hearts. And there was blood everywhere. And he'd go person to person and kill them in their sleep. Yeah. And he was working on a PhD degree himself in criminology. And he was trying to commit the perfect crime, I guess. Except there was a knife sheath left near the bed, and it had his DNA on it. One piece of DNA in that whole crime scene, and it was left on the sheath. You stick your knife in this leather thingy and stick that in your pocket or hang it from your belt. Anyway, it was loose, and he forgot it. He took the knife out. He retained the knife, but he didn't remember to get the knife sheath. And the police found it and lifted his DNA off of it. He didn't get the trial yet, but he was in court, and it's been a multi-year process trying to get this thing to where he would, face a jury. And it would have started like August 1st, and he pled out the deal, last Friday, I think. And families are upset. They want a death penalty. Hey, life in prison that's probably better, because he'd be in jail forever. He'd be in a cage. When you lose your freedom like that, it's pretty tough to handle. When you've been floating all around the place all your life for the first 30 years of your life, and all of a sudden you're put in a cage. And it's a noisy cage. I don't know how you sleep with all that noise. People banging on the bars and screaming, crazy maniac people screaming. And you're in there, this smartass, in jail forever. That's a real slow way to live out the rest of your life. He would have had 5 life sentences tacked on to each other. No chance for parole. That was the deal. The state agreed to that plea deal because he was afraid of the death penalty, so he pled out so he wouldn't get firing squad or lethal injection or whatever they use to kill people. What a cannibalistic society we have where, you're killing each other either with bombs or lethal injections or life in prison. We deal with all this crime, international crime, statutory crime. Whatever. But I am a free citizen of the United States, meeting with a very good friend, that I've had, for 25 years or so, since 1990. Yep, this is 2025. Woo! That's 35 years. Excuse me. Where'd that 10 years go? 1990. Yeah, it was 1990. Yep. I made this gentleman a loan, second mortgage on his house. Can you imagine? I can remember the loan. It was $54,000 loan. It was an exception to policy, but Jimmy was the chief policy officer of the bank. And I said, we're going to waive the 80% rule, and we're going to approve an 85% loan to value because you are a spectacular risk, and meaning low risk, gentleman in the community, and we're going to make a loan to you that we don't make to almost anyone else. And I have to sign off on it as an exception to policy. I have to write a special memo in the file giving my reason for doing that, which I did. We made the loan. He wanted $19,000. I gave him $50,000. I said, Bill, $19,000 isn't enough, because then you're going to come back in here and you're going to need another 10 and another 20 and another 10, whatever. Tell me how much it's going to take to get the whole deal done. He said, well, so that's $50,000. We're going to give you $54,000. We're going to go to 85% on the button based on the value of your house and the first mortgage you have. Take the difference, and we're going to give you $54,000. And that way, I don't want to have to go back to the well. So you can't keep opening up these mortgage loans and increasing them. Let's just get it done right the first time. And that was his first land deal, which started his company. And we've been friends ever since. You know, I didn't make the loan because he was a friend. I made the loan to him because he was an outstanding new customer to the bank. But over the years, we became friends. And apparently it's 35 years. Yeah, I mean, 35 years, you know, it's July, you know, I got there in May, June, July. This is probably the 35-year anniversary. I'm going to hold a cocktail up in the air and say, happy anniversary, Bill. This is 35-year anniversary of that $54,000 loan I granted to you to start your new company. How about that? No one else can say that on the planet. I'm proud to be here. And with that, I'm going to close out this session because it is 18 minutes to 11. I have to clean up myself, comb my hair. I think my hair's okay. But I want to shave, though. I want to get rid of some of these whiskers. And then had to go hail my Uber ride and get over there to Houston's and have lunch. So you all have a great day. And I had problems connecting with the internet today. I'm sorry. You know, it was a little glitch in my computer. The internet was actually fine. I tested it with a couple other devices. I just couldn't get this computer to log into it. My other computer's logged in, but my big one wouldn't. Anyway, on that happy tone, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.